we know about the extent of Chinese appetite for Airbus aircraft then? Good morning, Benny.
Good morning from Berlin. So yeah, there's generally big appetite from China for aircraft, both Boeing and Airbus. But the problem is that right now China is not buying Boeing aircraft because of the political spat that's going on between Washington and Beijing. So Airbus is really the player in town. And what we're hearing, this is according to people that we spoke with, is that there could be a big deal unfolding next week. The way China buys its aircraft is a little different to most other countries where, you know, a single airline will negotiate with the plane maker. China does this centrally. They have sort of a central umbrella organization that then distributes the aircraft among its main airlines. So that's why you sometimes get these huge numbers out of China. So we are hearing somewhere between 250 and maybe even as high as 500 aircraft. Obviously not all in one fell swoop in terms of deliveries. That would unfold over years, but it would be a huge bonus for Airbus. It would really help them cement their market share in China, which is already close to 50%, and it would take them above that. So really an important win for Airbus if it does unfold.
So how does a deal like this reshape the battle between Airbus and Boeing then?
Well, we saw a couple of weeks ago when Donald Trump went to the Middle East that that region bought a lot of Boeing aircraft. And that gives you a sense that aircraft purchases, these large orders, particularly when there's a government involved, tend to turn into a bit of a diplomatic tool. So Trump managed to bring in a big business for Boeing. And now we think that the same might happen when French President Emmanuel Macron and the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz go to Beijing next month. So there's always this sort of political component behind it. Both sides, the Europeans, but also the Americans, trying to strengthen their national champions. And that really is sort of what the duopoly is about. You still have only those two plane makers to choose from. China is trying to build its own aviation industry, its own rival to the 737 Boeing plane and the A320 Airbus. But so far, that remains a local and, at best, regional phenomenon. But it's something that they have to watch, Airbus and Boeing, if they want to maintain a foothold in this crucial market that is China.
And you've nodded to this already, Benny, but there's diplomacy always when it comes to aviation orders. And is this a way for President Xi to send a message to President Trump? President Trump wants a meeting. Xi seeming a little more elusive and not quite so keen to have that phone call. And here we've got a trade deal in the works surrounding European aircraft.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Anna. I mean, that sends a very clear signal that right now China remains open to business, but just not to the US. And we had that the message from Trump this morning saying that Xi remains a very difficult customer to work with. He wants a deal, but he's proving elusive. So, and we also know that China has essentially stopped taking deliveries of Boeing aircraft. So while they have planes on order right now, that entire business for Boeing is on ice. And this is a key market. Yes, there are markets like India. Yes, there is global demand for aircraft, but you can't, if you're Boeing, you can't just sort of ignore the Chinese market. So hopefully over time, they will get back into that market. The question is, will Airbus, by the time that Boeing comes back, will they have strengthened their position to a point where it's going to be very difficult for Boeing to really see eye to eye with their key rival?